Good evening, everyone. This is Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. Welcome to the Evening News Rundown for your Wednesday, December 9th, 2020. We are that far into December already. Hopefully you guys have had a good week so far. As always, we'd like to extend an invitation to anyone looking to advertise with Florida National News, whether on our website or in one of our shows, or if you're looking to sponsor one of our shows or a portion of the Florida National News website or a piece of our content, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com to find out more information. We'd love to get started with you. Now, as always, we'd like to start off our evening news rundowns with the latest COVID-19 numbers globally here in the United States and in the state of Florida. So globally, the World Health Organization is reporting over 67.7 million confirmed cases worldwide and over 1.5 million confirmed deaths, In the United States, Johns Hopkins University is reporting over 15.2 million confirmed cases and over 287,000 confirmed deaths. In the state of Florida, according to the Department of Health's dashboard, we're seeing over 1.07 million confirmed cases and over 19,300 confirmed deaths. Now, jumping into our world story for today, you guys heard yesterday about Pfizer and BioNTech's COVID vaccine launching in the UK. We saw the footage of the 90-year-old lady who got the very first vaccine. She was the first to get it. But of course, there is a caveat with any vaccine, and this particular COVID vaccine was no exception. There were 2 instances of allergic reactions, and as of right now, the UK's regulatory body, the medical regulatory body, is investigating that. Here is a brief segment from the head of the medical regulatory body over there. Take a listen.
Last evening, we were looking at 2 case reports of allergic reactions. We know from the very extensive clinical trials that this wasn't a feature, but if we need to strengthen our advice, now that we've had this experience in the vulnerable populations, the groups who've been selected as a priority, we get that advice to the field immediately.
Now, the good news is both folks who had allergic reactions have since recovered from those allergic reactions. But of course, as a precaution, the regulatory body will go ahead and investigate what happened because it is still not quite certain whether or not those allergic reactions were directly connected to the vaccine. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. Now, jumping to the US, speaking of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, it's moving one step closer to US approval. So wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on that. You guys heard the reports last week. Pfizer had made the move to apply for US approval, and regulators on Tuesday released their first scientific evaluation of the COVID-19 vaccine and confirmed that it does offer strong protection, setting the stage for the government to greenlight the biggest vaccination effort in the nation's history. Now, the analysis by the FDA scientists comes ahead of the Thursday meeting, where the agency's independent advisors will debate if the evidence is strong enough to recommend vaccinating millions of Americans waiting for the vaccine. Now, final FDA decision and the first shots could follow within just days. We'll continue to keep you updated on that. Now, they're among a whirlwind of developments that are expected to make multiple vaccines available by early next year in the US and beyond. The FDA later this month will consider one developed by Moderna as well. Now, also Tuesday, a medical journal published early data suggesting a third vaccine candidate, AstraZeneca, also protects people, though not as much as the other 2 frontrunners, meaning Pfizer and Moderna. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. Now, the FDA is expected to follow its committee's advice, and the first in line, once the vaccinations do begin distribution, would be healthcare workers and nursing home residents. Now, FDA said partial protection appears 2 weeks after the first dose of the Pfizer shot, and greater protection seems to last at least 2 months after the second and final dose. As for safety, the FDA found no serious side effects among the more than 37,000 volunteers who had been tracked at least 2 months after their last dose, the period when vaccination problems typically appear. So that's good news. The main side effects were injection site pain or flu-like reactions that tend to last a day or 2. More than half of adults under 55 experienced fatigue or headache. About a third reported chills or muscle pain, and 16% reported a fever. Older adults were less likely to experience those reactions. So those who are within the vulnerable population, that is some good news for them. Now, jumping here to the state of Florida, Florida is also preparing for the COVID vaccine distribution. You guys also heard Governor Ron DeSantis talking about this during a press conference last week. Now, given the fact that the US is days away from receiving shipments of a COVID-19 vaccine, while waiting for approval, facilities across Florida, particularly hospitals, are making sure that they're ready in the event that the Pfizer COVID vaccine gets the go-ahead. Now, doses of the vaccine could be shipped out within hours of the approval. So in addition, some long-term care facilities are already taking meetings with companies like CVS to go over what the rollout will look like once the vaccine is available. Now, some are saying, quote, the majority of the families are very, very excited about it. They can't wait. They wish they could get the vaccine too. Now, this gentleman that was speaking adds that once the FDA approves the vaccine, CVS will call him at the Gracious Age Assisted Living facility to schedule a date and time for the distribution at their facility. Then staff and residents will have to fill out consent forms provided by CVS. So the staff members there and 24 visiting doctors, as well as physical therapists, could reportedly also be vaccinated due to their direct contact with residents. So again, going back to first responders who are on the front lines, and of course, the vulnerable population that are going to get access to the COVID vaccine first. Now, once the COVID-19 vaccine gets the FDA approval, the Pfizer vaccine could be distributed as early as December 21st, and the Moderna vaccine as early as December 28th. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. Now, stay tuned, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back with some more news stories for you. Stay tuned.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, welcome back to the evening news rundown. In our next U.S. story, you guys have heard President-elect Joe Biden has started making his cabinet picks, and he has chosen Representative Marcia Fudge, a Democrat of Ohio, to serve as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And he has chosen Tom Vilsack, who served as a Secretary of Agriculture for 8 years under the former President Barack Obama, to lead that department once again. Now, with Representative Fudge, who's currently 68, if she's confirmed by the Senate, she would join retired General Lloyd Austin III of the Army, who would be the first Black Defense Secretary, and Javier Becerra, the son of Mexican immigrants and nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services, as the embodiment of Mr. Biden's campaign pledge to assemble an administration that will, quote, look like America. But even as he rolls out his picks as of right now, Mr. Biden is under increasing pressure from a variety of interest groups, liberal activists, and Democratic lawmakers who have different opinions on what it means to make good on that promise. So for President-elect Joe Biden and his transition team, the selection of key jobs has become a bit of a shifting puzzle as they continue to search for candidates who are qualified, get along with President-elect Joe Biden, and help create the ethnic and gender mosaic that would be a contrast to the current Trump administration, the outgoing Trump administration. Now, allies of Representative Fudge, including Representative Clyburn, of course, representing South Carolina, and one of Mr. Biden's most prominent Black supporters during the 2020 campaign, has urged President-elect Biden to put Representative Fudge at the Agriculture Department, where she had hoped to shift the agency's focus away from farming toward hunger, especially in the urban areas. Now, just hours after President-elect Joe Biden made official that historic choice of General Austin for Defense Secretary, a group of Black civil rights activists actually urged Mr. Biden to nominate a Black Attorney General to make civil rights, particularly for African Americans, a higher priority. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. There's a bit of a continued push for President-elect Joe Biden to be very careful about his cabinet selections and to make good on his campaign promises. We'll continue to keep you updated. Stay tuned here at FloridaNationalNews.com for more. Now, jumping here to the state of Florida, if you haven't heard yet, if you remember the scientist that actually had stepped down or was fired actually by the DeSantis administration because she felt that she was being forced to fudge the numbers or not accurately report the COVID-19 numbers. Of course, this person was responsible for the COVID-19 dashboard that even we here at Florida National News use to report the COVID-19 numbers here. Her home was raided on Monday. And as a result, there's actually a Ron DeSantis appointee who's actually a fellow Republican who has chosen to resign in light of that home raid. He actually said that that particular home raid was a bit over the top. He said that was not quite necessary. And it's actually, to him, it appears more of an intimidation tactic. It wasn't quite necessary. Of course, Jones, who was the scientist that was fired back in May, according to Governor Ron DeSantis' office, she was fired because she was being insubordinate. However, she insisted that she was fired due to the numbers that they were asking her to either not report accurately or not report at all. Now, she has recently posted a video of the raid. She posted a video of officers with guns brandished, and she said in a resulting interview, particularly with CNN, she said she and her family are planning to actually leave the state of Florida because she feels it is not safe. She said, "It is one thing to threaten my life. It is another to point a gun at my family or to threaten the safety of my family." And she has actually issued a warning to anyone else that she has been in contact with as a result of this particular 6-month campaign, if you will, of reporting against Governor Ron DeSantis and his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic here in the state of Florida. She's issued that warning because the state police officers had actually taken her laptop and any devices that have the ability to store data that is related to the COVID-19 numbers. So she made sure to issue that warning. We'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. But for the appointee who resigned, that was Ron Filipowski. He announced his resignation and said he no longer wishes to serve the current government of Florida in any capacity, end quote. He posted his resignation letter, as you guys saw in the footage, on Twitter. Now we're going to take another quick commercial break and we will be back with your business and sports stories. And yes, it is #Worker Wednesday. So we have the lovely Angel Perry waiting in the wings to actually talk about not something that is work related specifically, but something that is another part of her strength, which is elections and the political process. So we're here to talk the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to strike down the GOP's request or attempt to nullify Pennsylvania's election results. So stay tuned, guys. We have a lot to talk about. Stay tuned.
All this time we fought side by side. We trained together. We lost together. And now, you're the only one standing in my way.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. And in our business story, Hawaiian Airlines is set to set nonstop flights to Orlando as well. So this is some good news for Hawaii, but there are also other nonstop flights that Hawaii has made the extension for. But Hawaiian Airlines made that announcement on Tuesday that it will offer that nonstop service between Orlando International Airport and Daniel K. Inouye International Airport in Honolulu starting March 11th. Of next year. The airline plans to fly its Airbus A330 aircraft twice weekly from Orlando, with flights departing Orlando on Tuesdays and Saturdays at 8:15 a.m. Now, in a statement, the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority CEO Phil Brown said, quote, "We are pleased to announce that Central Florida residents can look forward to a nonstop service to Hawaii and that Orlando International Airport is officially Florida's connection to the Aloha State. This new service represents a significant investment that will strengthen economic, leisure, and cultural bonds between two of the country's top tourism destinations." Now, with the new service, Orlando International Airport will be the only Florida airport with nonstop service to Hawaii. Last year, Orlando International Airport welcomed more than 50 million passengers, making it the busiest airport in the state of Florida, according to airport officials. So a bit of good news for anyone looking to travel to the beautiful state of Hawaii. Now, jumping into our sports story, the NFL is not seeking a postseason bubble. You guys remember the NBA kind of having to convert to a bit of a bubble format on its way back in, and the NHL also did a bubble format on its way back in as well. But the NFL is deciding against that. They decided they do not want to do that, especially in light of the playoff time, which is coming near, particularly week 14. And as the number of COVID-19 cases keep rising, though, the fact that the league has yet to announce the plans of the postseason bubble still remains that hot topic. So, hey, if you have thoughts on that, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to find out from you whether or not that's something they should be doing. If you feel that they're perfectly fine not doing that, and you just enjoy your sports the way they are, we'd love to hear that too. Either way, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Now, during a conference call with reporters on Tuesday, NFL Players Association Executive Director DeMaurice Smith and NFLPA President J.C. Tretter essentially said that while the possibility of a postseason bubble has been discussed, there doesn't appear to be a strong push to make it materialize at the moment. They said, quote, "We've talked to our players about it on the board call. We've certainly had conversations about it at the executive committee level." This is Smith. He said, there's been no decision about what to do. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that as well. And again, leave a comment below. Let us know how you guys feel about that. Now, it is hashtag Work Wednesday. And as promised before the commercial break, we do have Angel Perry right here to help us understand and kind of dissect the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to kind of strike down what the GOP was looking to do in terms of nullifying the Pennsylvania election results. So kind of dissect this for us, Angel, and, do what you do in simplifying what exactly happened. Because as we saw in some of the other reports, that denial from the U.S. Supreme Court was literally one sentence.
One sentence. Let me break this down a little bit. So essentially, the Trump camp wanted to nullify the governor of Pennsylvania's certification of the votes. They went to the high court. What that represents is the Supreme Court at the state level.
Mm-hmm.
The certification by a governor of the votes for their respective states is a federal process, because that's part of the United States Constitution, that the governor certifies the votes to give to the electors, that then certifies that on December 14th. All the states have to certify the votes on or before the 8th. So then the electors then go meet, double check, triple check, whatever documents they need to, and that is completed on December 14th. So they went to a state level Supreme Court to complain about a federal process. It's not their wheelhouse. A state cannot overturn a federal process.
Right.
The process is constitutional by the United States of America. That's why the rejection was one sentence. It had, they had some challenges about why this was in front of them, and it just was a flat out no.
Right. And, talk a little bit more about some of the other lawsuits that are going on across the country as well, because this isn't the only one we're following.
So this whole election process, there's been upwards about 30 cases that have gone through the court so far. And again, I want to state, every candidate has a right to investigate and challenge any election results. So this next one, which I'm sure you've heard about, Texas, going to the U.S. Supreme Court to challenge Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia's election process. So they want to nullify those 4 elections, which come to 62 electoral votes. So here's the challenge with that. They waited till after the results to challenge them. When those 4 states had changed their dates, so either the dates that allowed, so as long as the mail-in ballots arrive at the election precincts or the supervisor elections office, however the individual states do their process, once it arrives and it's postmarked November 3rd, there are over 21 states that allow different dates to receive by. As long as it's postmarked on the 3rd, they accept it. So with Pennsylvania being 3 days, and some of the other states can be as much as 10 days. So as long as it's postmarked on the 3rd, they'll be accepted and counted. So the funny thing with that irony, so you have North Carolina, Ohio, Alaska, Mississippi, and Utah all have where they accept mail-in ballots postmarked November 3rd, but will be accepted 3 to 10 days later. Those are electoral votes that Trump's campaign received, but they're only challenging Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, which those electorals are going to candidate Biden. So when the court looks at this, you have 21 states that had the same process, but you're only challenging 4. I'm struggling. I'm not a judge. I'm not even a lawyer, but the reason that you're challenging it is because of the mail-in ballot process. But there are 21 states that all have that same process.
Right.
So you're okay to accept the votes for yourself, but you want to erase the ones that were for your opponent. How is that a valid argument?
Right.
Like 21 states have this process. 21. And then we have our lovely Ashley Moody from Florida joining into the camp of this argument. I don't know why. I don't know why this is even something to bring before the U.S. Supreme Court. Individual states all have their right to do a legislative laws. It's their house. So you have Texas telling 4 other states that we don't like the way you do your business. So my house has leather couches and big screen TVs, and your house needs to have the same thing. So I'm gonna come and knock on your door, and you need to have the same setup because my house looks great, and your house I don't like it, so it needs to match with mine. It's a Stepford wife kind of thing going on.
That was quite a reference there. But yes, that's actually a question I had as well. Like, how can one state go to another and like sue? You know what I mean? Like, this is them going to court and saying, hey, we don't like your process. I was like, how is this a thing? So that was a question I had too.
A state can challenge another state if there's federal violations. That's essentially the basis of the argument. But where they're falling short, and this is where I'm having a challenge. If I'm going to be on your side with this argument, okay, I don't like their setup. They're taking ballots in after the 3rd. Okay, 21 states do that process. How is it only the ones that you need the 62 votes, electoral votes for, are the ones that you bringing up to the U.S. Supreme Court? You're okay with the other ones. Well, wouldn't that void the other ones with that same argument?
Right.
21 states have this process, but you're only bringing up 4, the ones that you don't have the votes for.
Interesting, right? So here's the follow-up question to that then. For someone who is watching all of this, because we're all watching the news, following step by step everything that's going on, what can the lay person do at this point? Like, is there anything a lay person can do at this point other than protest? Because we've seen that too. Like, we've seen, Trump supporters protesting. They were protesting in Pennsylvania when the U.S. Supreme Court ruling came down. What can voters do going forward now?
So this is what's encouraging and beautiful. Our forefathers that created this country have checks and balances. That's why it's okay. That's why I said the candidates have every right to challenge the votes and finish out the process. This is just the first candidate that's ever went through actually all the ticks. And that's okay. The voting system, the election system, the governors, the voters, the electorals are working as designed, because no matter what's being thrown at it, the law is the law is the law. That's what's great. It is working as designed. It's a beautiful thing. As chaotic as it is, sometimes we need to be reassured that these laws and checks and balances actually work, and they do. Everything is working.
Awesome.
I would be encouraged. Just watch it, get some popcorn. It's great. It's great because there's no dispute. After the 14th, there's no dispute.
Awesome. And I mean, on top of that, I would just add, ladies and gentlemen, do some research. Be like Angel. gain some political knowledge. See, she said Google is free. She always pushes that. Google is free. But thank you as always, Angel. Always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for demystifying some of this stuff, because sometimes it can get overwhelming. Exactly. Sometimes it's just overwhelming. Not even so much scary, but a lot of information.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Till next time.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we are going to take another quick commercial break, the final commercial break, and then we're going to come back and wrap up with our entertainment segment. Stay tuned.
I'm not picking it up. You pick it up.
I'm not picking it up.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. They're clean. 'Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin clean. That's how I know they're clean.
Charmin Ultra Strong is woven like a washcloth and just cleans better.
Yeah, I'm Charmin clean.
The kid does have a point.
My hand is clean.
Enjoy the go with Charmin. And for an extra clean finish, try Charmin Flushable Wipes.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown as we wrap up with our entertainment story. And in a recent report, it seems filming has actually decreased in the month of November, particularly in Los Angeles. And of course, Los Angeles is one of the many film hubs that was greatly affected by COVID-19. But according to Film LA, month-over-month permit volume decreased in November, with application intake dropping nearly 8%, between 813 permits from 880 back in October. Now, analysts are pointing to the 2020 election, the Thanksgiving holiday, and of course, the COVID-19 pandemic as reasons for the recent slowdown in the month of November. Film LA's daily intake is now averaging around 39 new applications per business day. So over the last 24 weeks since LA County reopened for on-location filming back in June, Film LA has received approximately 3,500 film permit applications spanning over 2,500 unique projects. So that is a bit of good news in LA. Things did return in terms of film production, but they did see that slight drop in November. Still photography and commercials remain a large source of production, with a 44% combined share of November permit requests. TV production represents the second biggest share of recent permit activity at 29% there. Now, feature production currently makes up only 5% of permit activity. TV shows that started filming in November include Hulu's Love, Victor, ABC's Triage, Fox's Dave, An American Crime Story, Impeachment, HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Netflix's The Kominsky Method, Colin in Black and White, and You. Now, approximately 40 feature films began shooting in Greater Los Angeles in November, though primarily independent films. They include BCDF Pictures' To Leslie, Miramax's He's All That, Jackful Productions' Story of Women, and Bowtie Productions' Rescue Rangers. Now, Paul Thomas Anderson's latest movie, Soggy Bottom, was also filming throughout the region last month. And of course, things have probably taken a turn here in the month of December, given the recent re-lockdown, if you will, taking place in California, courtesy of Governor Gavin Newsom. We here at Florida National News will continue to keep you updated on that as well. But that does it here for us at the Evening News Rundown, guys. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. If you haven't yet, be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. You'll find us at Florida National News on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And on YouTube, be sure to also click the little bell icon so you can get all the notifications for all of our shows. And again, as a reminder, for those looking to advertise, or if someone you know is looking to advertise or wishing to sponsor some content here on Florida National News, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com to find out more. In the meantime, thank you as always for tuning in. Continue to stay safe and continue to check on your loved ones. There's a lot going on, so be sure to continue to stay safe. Take care.